I'm Batman.
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 These videos are not for children. If you are a children, then piss off.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, the Infuso, and I am joined here with Reyes World TV.
Hey, how's it going?
Also known as that guy who looks like Mr. Potato Head. And today, we're here to talk about the best Batman, according to the two of us. So, what we did, I should say, is we came up with our 5 best picks for Batman, and why we think that. So, you want to start off with your 5th one, or should I?
You start off first.
Okay. My 5th one would be Ben Affleck. I think he looked like Bruce Wayne. I liked his scenes as Bruce Wayne and even some of his scenes as Batman, but I think overall he didn't get a whole lot to do. And I wouldn't discredit him for that. He could have definitely been a better Batman than he wound up being, but I still think he was really good. What's your feeling on that?
Well, for a 5th, I definitely think it's a little too low.
Okay.
I thought Ben Affleck did a phenomenal job as Batman, and especially since we come to like the history of Ben Affleck, and he has announced and said that he's actually a huge Batman fan. So I think his portrayal of how he did Batman, and especially doing a darker version of Batman, ended up going really well, and especially since I always get his name wrong. Zack Snyder. Yeah, there we go. Zack Snyder's version of Batman.
I was just picturing when you said that, like the Harrison Ford thing again. Like, I just think like you're just standing over Ben Affleck and you're like, I just think what he did was so smart.
No, I did. I loved everything that Ben Affleck did, but I think he's a little too low. But I also want to hear the rest of your list before I judge it.
Okay, go ahead. So, who's your 5th pick?
My 5th pick, which may shock some people, is the voice of Batman from Arkham Origins.
Why would that shock some people?
Just because, like...
I'm not going to tell you where. He's on my list.
Yeah, but I think it will shock some people just because, like, they don't really think about this particular person, which is Royal Craig Smith.
Rodger.
Wow.
Do that again.
Rodger Craig Smith.
Okay.
Which I think... Again, because when people think Batmans, obviously they think about, the top movie Batmans or, the top voice actor, which is obviously Kevin Conroy.
I think when a lot of people think Batman, they probably think Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton, Kevin Conroy. But then when you throw that little curveball of it, it's like, oh, well, here's someone that you probably should recognize, and he did a phenomenal job.
Oh, yeah, he's great. So, but that's your 5th pick. My 4th pick, which I went back and forth. This list, out of all the lists that we did, I went back and forth the most on. Like, I couldn't decide. And this would absolutely piss some people off, is Val Kilmer. And I think he is probably, I think he's the most underrated Batman of all time. A lot of people want to say that he was one of the worst. And I think that comes from the fact that he was part of one of the Joel Schumacher movies. But, I think that's bullshit. I think the guy delivered... there was a slight difference between Bruce and Batman. The thing I gotta say about Val Kilmer is that I think that he actually made Bruce Wayne interesting. You could see the cogs turn in his head when he was in the scene as Bruce. You could kind of almost see what he was thinking, and, there's just a lot more of that half of the character in the movie. I actually really liked Val Kilmer. And even if he did make that really stupid, I call it the Kermit the Frog face. Like when she kisses him and he turns around, you just see the
Yeah.
I got kissed. Like that really stupid fucking face. I thought, honestly, outside of that, he carried himself in a manner in which I've known the character of both Bruce Wayne and Batman to do. The only thing I will say is that he was, he was a blonde. And a blonde Batman was kind of weird. But I mean, you know, when you're
That's very weird.
Yeah, but when you're under the mask, you know, all that matters is your fucking chin, apparently. So I just think that he gave a crap about his performance, and I believed him as the character. I just feel like there was a level of legitimacy to him. I understood what he was going through, and I like Val Kilmer's Batman. I understand that other people don't.
My fourth, which will probably piss off some people because of how low he is on the list, but mine is Kevin Conroy. Now,
I don't understand that at all.
Now hear me out. Hear me out.
I will hear you out. I think you're insane, but I will listen to you.
Because to me, and I spoke to V multiple times about this, I always want to separate the voice actor Batmans and the live action Batmans. I feel like there are two different scales, they're two different elements, and I hate putting them in together in one list. But
I mean, I could almost understand that, but like talking overall in impact, like Kevin Conroy.
But this isn't an impact question. This is
the best Batman.
These are your. You know, the whole thing was we're discussing
what
our
makes them
top
best.
five.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Technically, it's your opinion, so you can't be wrong. But it is the wrong opinion to have. So continue.
So I'm not gonna go based off of impact. I'm gonna go based off of. Well, I'm gonna go to an impact, but me personally.
Okay.
See, I love Kevin Conroy's Batman to no end.
Okay.
But however...
Doesn't sound like you do.
But however, I'm going to go and give a little bit more credit to the people who look the part, have to act the part, wear the actual suit.
Well, let's not act like Kevin Conroy wasn't acting. I mean,
he was.
He also... Let's not forget that the dude also, you know, he separated Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And like I said, I like Michael Keaton, but Michael Keaton basically played Bruce Wayne and Batman very similarly.
Yes.
Like, Kevin Conroy's the first person to go and be like, well, Bruce Wayne sounds like this, but Batman sounds like this. You know what I mean? Like there was a difference. And you could understand how he could live these two separate lives.
Yeah, of course, but...
So he did do it.
Yeah, of course, but my thing is that the only reason why he's so low... is simply because we're putting every Batman together.
Okay, but here's the thing. You did see him as a live-action Batman.
Yeah, but not till later on Crisis, and even that, he's not even wearing the suit. He's mechanical.
Oh, yeah, he's old man
and
Bruce.
I will say this. Phenomenal job.
Oh, yeah, he was great.
Like, probably, like, the best part of that episode.
There is no hope.
The only reason why Kevin Conroy is so low on my list is because I think, and this is my personal opinion, is that if we're talking about the best Batmans and we're giving actors, you know, if we're combining live action actors to voice acting,
right,
then I'm always going to pick the live action because the live action takes more work. That's just me. That's just my personal idea.
Yeah.
But to clarify this, if this was a separate list and we're talking about strictly voice acting, then he's number one.
My number 3, I settled on Michael Keaton, because, you know, I think he's iconic. I think he's Batman for a lot of people, and there's definitely elements to his performance that are very Batman-esque. Like there's a lot of nuance to it. Like, you know, he, just the subtlety of how he talked. What I always liked and admired in Keaton, that I always criticized Bale for, is, Keaton never had to act intimidating, but you could see why somebody would be intimidated by him. Like there was this really, you know, like he was just very calm, and it didn't seem like he was trying to be threatening, but you could understand how that could, like, rattle the nerves of somebody. So, whereas with Bale, who, for the record, I love as Bruce Wayne, I just didn't really like him as Batman. Bale was always just like, it always seemed like he was trying to scare somebody.
Who's Batman to you?
Christian Bale.
Michael Keaton is Batman to me.
I'm Batman.
No, dude, I'm Batman.
And I don't know, just like, if I'm writing, me personally, if I'm writing Batman doesn't need to try. Batman is, you know, his presence in and of itself is intimidating enough. He doesn't need to, you know, put on a scary voice or, you know, anything like that. He will still probably hold a guy over a building. You know, because I realized that that's a trope in a lot of Batman stuff. Like, it's just him holding somebody over a building, but you know he's never going to let them drop. That happened several times in the Dark Knight series alone. Anyway, I'm sorry, I got really off topic, which is probably going to happen a lot. Michael Keaton, I totally understand why he's iconic. The only thing I think about Michael Keaton negatively is that I think a lot of people blindly praise his role of Batman. And while he's kind of a trendsetter because he's one of the first men to, like, put the suit on, you know what I mean? And there wasn't a lot of dark... Like, he was the first dark performance of Batman there was, really. You know, and he was great at it. A lot of the ways that we think all these other people as Batman were better, they pretty much used Keaton as a template and built on from there. Well, so that's why
yeah, of course, but...
Same thing with Christopher Reeves. People used that performance and then built up off of that.
Yeah, my thing with Keaton is that I hated his Bruce Wayne. His Bruce Wayne made no sense to me. He was kind of goofy in some aspects where, like, he wasn't sure, he wasn't confident in himself, and
well, I think what Burton was going for is that, like, he was tormented and scarred over his parents passing.
I mean, he was great in his own right, but I just did not like his Bruce Wayne. As far as his Batman goes, his Batman wasn't intimidating to me, but it was still good. I think
you didn't like his Bruce Wayne. You liked his Batman.
I like his Batman just a little bit more than his Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
But my thing is that, well, first of all, the Keaton Batman will always be my favorite emblem for Batman ever. You know,
the one from the second movie.
Yes. The iconic yellow and black emblem that I have below my knee, yes.
I think Keaton is to Batman what Reeves is to Superman.
Yes, 100%. But my third is also Val Kilmer.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it's actually Val Kilmer. Loved the chemistry between him and Robin. Val Kilmer was, to me, Batman in that era. Because the thing is that, like, when we talk about older Batmans, like, that era, obviously, everyone always goes to Keaton. Everyone's like, Keaton this, Keaton that. Honestly, like, Keaton wasn't Batman, wasn't Bruce Wayne to me. Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne is so on point, and I feel like people, because they didn't really enjoy the movie, that it kind of flew, like, over their head.
But also actually like Batman Forever. I'm not gonna say
I love Batman Forever.
I'm not gonna, it's one of my favorite Batman movies, but I guess I understand why people don't like it. I think he's a great Batman. I think he's an even better Bruce Wayne, actually.
Yes. Not only that, but Val Kilmer is actually a really nice guy.
Well, I don't know. I have heard the opposite. So I guess it's my turn.
Yes.
2, for me, is Rodger Craig Smith from Arkham Origins. We just talked. You mentioned him before.
I just know him as the Origins guy. Okay. So when you mention the name first, it throws me off.
I really like Troy Baker as the Joker. I think he was great at it.
Phenomenal.
But I don't mean this in an offensive way. I just mean this in my opinion. He just straight up did a Mark Hamill Joker impression. And he did it to a T. Like, as a matter of fact, I know people that played Arkham and had no idea that wasn't Mark Hamill. Like, they literally thought that was him. And, I mean, it's easy to see why. They sound so similar when they portray that role. Mm-hmm. Whereas Rodger Craig Smith, I felt there was a difference between him and Kevin Conroy. Of course. It sounds different enough for me to judge this as its own thing.
Recently played Arkham Origins, like, last month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did very well. I felt was the strongest chemistry was Batman and the Riddler, surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah, because...
I'll have to replay it.
This is, like, the introduction of the Riddler, but, like, you never see him.
You barely see him throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, you never see him, and I thought that was perfect. Because it always left a mystery of...
I really enjoyed him in that.
Yeah, of course. And then you hear him as Bruce Wayne, and, like, it's Bruce Wayne. Okay. Like, it's definitely, like, spot on everything about it.
Who's second for you?
But my second is Christian Bale. I love Christian Bale. God. I love Christian Bale.
Where are they?
Yeah, but outside of that aspect of Batman, everything else about him was perfect about Batman.
Okay, no, I don't think so. Here's what I will say: the Dark Knight's franchise is definitely those movies are definitely the best Batman movies that have been made. I hate Christian Bale as Batman. I love Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne.
Oh, his Bruce Wayne is perfect.
I think every minute he's on screen without that fucking mask, like, he emotes. He's great as a character. Like Christian Bale is a fantastic actor. Like, you get to see Bruce when he's at his darkest in Dark Knight Rises. Like he's a hermit, and like that's, you know, like this. It's a version of Bruce that we, you know, people know.
Yes.
You get to see him when he has to, like, put on this disguise as Bruce and act like, you know, he's this show off and, you know, like, oh, I could buy anything, you know.
Yeah, and I love that.
And it's great. Like he makes that believable too. And deep down, you as the viewer know that, like, he's actually hating every fucking minute of this.
Yeah.
But this is all just so he can continue to disguise himself and be Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's enduring this so he could go on and, you know, like, have that be out in the public. So I always really liked that aspect, and I always really liked Christian Bale's Bruce from Batman Begins to Dark Knight Rises. I loved him playing the character. I did not like it when he put the mask on, and I think as the movies went on, he got worse as Batman because the first movie, his voice a little gravelly. The next movie, throat cancer. Like I have no idea what he was thinking. Like he was like, you know what, I'm gonna outdo myself. In the first movie, I was too audible. You understood what I was saying. Like I don't want that. So then he's like, I'm just gonna gargle friggin' vodka and rocks and speak.
Because I want to touch upon his Bruce Wayne, because I thought it was perfect, phenomenal. And there's one thing that I feel like they don't give him enough credit for, is that whenever he needed to be funny, he was just funny. And, like, I feel like that was one aspect of Bruce Wayne that, like, throughout the whole, like, when you think about the whole Batman series, like, everyone knows Bruce Wayne is a serious guy, like, he owns a company and stuff like that. But also, Bruce Wayne has a sense of humor. And, like, Christian Bale really nailed his sense of humor.
I think, yeah, I've always said that Batman has a sense of humor, but here's the thing about Batman. He has a sense of humor, but at the wrong moments every time.
And that's what makes it great.
Yes, and that's what makes it great. Like there's an episode of the animated series, and I can't remember what exactly happens. Joker falls, Harley falls, Batman catches Harley, and he's parachuting down with her, right? Mm-hmm. And then she shouts, she's like, because, like, Joker's falling, she goes, Puddin'! And then, like,
I know which one.
Yeah, Batman looks at her, he goes, at this point, he probably is. And I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, Bruce! A man just died! This is not funny!
There's, like, a few lines of his humor that always sticks out to mind. Mm-hmm. One of them is definitely in The Dark Knight, when he randomly, which I think it was kind of planned, but he randomly meets up with Harvey Dent and Rachel.
Rachel.
And then they're like, oh, like, we should be able to get a table together. It's like, I don't know if they do that. It's like,
oh, well, they should. I own this place.
No, I was like, I loved it. I loved it. Big dick moment. Just had the big dick moment in front of him. It's like,
it's so weird for me because I loved him so much as Bruce, but I can't stand him as Batman.
See, I felt like his Batman was also just as perfect as his Bruce Wayne.
I always felt like... I never felt like he was Batman. I always felt...
But I feel like everything he did was Batman-esque. The only problem that people had with his Batman was literally his voice. That's it.
No, I have more with that.
Well,
I mean, some of the things you can't help. Like, I thought that... I still, to this day, I don't think the suit ever looked...
I like the suit.
Entirely right. No, but the mask, it just didn't look entirely right to me ever. But that's not on him. That's not on Christian Bale. Like, he didn't make the fucking mask. You know, there were elements to him as Batman that I just didn't like. He never really... There's a couple scenes where you see him being a detective, which is great.
Yeah.
And I was happy because there's plenty of Batman continuities that forget that he's the world's greatest detective.
We need more Batman movies like that.
Where he's, like, trying to solve shit instead of just punching. Yeah.
It's the rat catcher. No.
Yeah, but no, like, there's elements to Batman there. But for me, he never came off as Batman. He came off as somebody trying to present
But
themselves as Batman.
outside of his voice, what did you like?
Well, I didn't like his voice, and that was a huge thing.
I said outside.
I'm talking about all of the elements here. I didn't like his voice. I didn't like the way that he looked. And like I said before, I always felt like he was trying to be intimidating. Like it seemed to me that this was a guy who was trying to scare you or trying to frighten you. Whereas, like, Kevin Conroy is Batman. I never felt like he was putting effort in. I just thought that he was a naturally frightening man who dressed like a giant bat.
Yeah, but that's also kind of a hard thing to do because you're comparing...
No, but I mean, I'm just explaining that these are the reasons. Yeah, but
you're comparing a voice to a live action thing, and I'm trying to...
You can do that. You can compare them. You can compare them.
You really can't.
I'm like, we're gonna fight, okay? Like, I'm not talking about argue or debate. We're not setting up podiums. We are going outside after this, all right?
And just fighting.
And we are just going back cuff to cuff, all right? We're scrapping. This is serious. You don't come in my goddamn home and tell me you think Christian Bale's a better Batman than Kevin Conroy.
I think one of the major issues that I'm having in understanding your argument is because, all right, you mentioned his looks and then you mentioned his voice.
Right.
But, all right, so take...
And also that...
Take out both those things.
Okay, both of those things.
But then...
I still never felt that he came full circle as Batman. I liked Batman Begins because it was him transitioning into the role. And I thought that was great.
It was perfect.
But by the time Dark Knight came out, they wanted to act like Batman was Batman already. And I personally never felt like he fully got there as a character. It's the same thing that they did with Man of Steel, where Superman had that one movie where he was building up to being Superman, and then the next Superman movie that comes out, there's a statue in his goddamn honor already. Come on, it was, and then the movie after that, because he dies in Batman v Superman, and then the movie that comes out after, they're like, everybody loves Superman, he was an icon, people around the world loved him, and like it's like we didn't see that, like, and I don't feel like that was ever justified. We never seen him come into his own. Still love the Dark Knight movies. Still love Christian Bale. Still love Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne. I just never felt that Christian Bale Bruce Wayne, ever really fully became Batman. The reason the voice is a huge part of it, and it's not the be-all, end-all, right? But it's a huge part of it.
But you make it seem like it's the end-all.
No, hear me out, you stupid fuck. I think Batman, more than Bruce, obviously, but Batman has this natural, frightening nature to him.
I'm tired of going voice to voice now.
But the thing about voice to voice is, like, that's a huge part of the character. Doesn't offend you. That doesn't get to you.
Doesn't bother. Well, right. I also listen to a lot of screaming metal. So
yes. So yeah.
Then also I'm a vocalist of that, so it makes sense.
But, like, let's say that Christian Bale did his performance. The exact performance that you love. Mm-hmm. Except instead of going, right, he talked like Goofy.
Gosh, where are we?
You know what I mean? Like you couldn't imagine that. Like, you would hate that guy because he fucked it up with the way that he sounded. Am I wrong? No. But that's what I'm explaining. His voice is a big part of performance. I felt that Christian Bale didn't have the vocal capabilities to do the Batman voice that he wanted. You know what I mean? Like. And worst case scenario, what they did with Ben Affleck, I think is fine. Ben Affleck was like...
Had a voice modulator.
That's fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my number one for what you would do with Batman, but it makes sense for a story. It makes sense for him to do to hide his identity. And I don't think it sounds terrible. So, that's just... But so, yeah, like I said, voice is a very big part of...
No, I definitely see more of your side on when you're explaining that. It's just... I guess for me personally...
If he sounded like Goofy, you would hate
it. I guess for me personally, I love how Christian Bale played both parts.
Okay.
That, like, the voice after a while didn't bother me. At first it bothered me. I was like, why is it so much deeper?
And it was different in Batman Begins.
It was not as heavy.
What I will say... If he kept the voice that he did in Batman Begins...
With everything.
With the next two movies, he would have been on my list, 100%. 100%. So that is a huge part of it for me.
We're up to number one.
Okay, number one. My number one Batman, Reyes is going to disagree. He already has disagreed. Is Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy is my favorite Batman because anytime I think of Batman personally, that is exactly where my mind goes. Like, in saying Batman, and you have to, your mind kind of comes up with a visual for it, the visual my mind comes up with is the animated series. You know, he's iconic as the role, and I think maybe not by name, but, like, I think overall he is the most famous Batman. I think he's Batman for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. You know, whether it's the animated series, whether it's the Batman movies that he did, he's done a couple. Whether it's the Arkham series that he was a part of, that he was great in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, he is Batman for so many people, and there's a reason for it. You know, as Bruce, he comes off as intellectual. As Batman, he comes across as intimidating. There's a human quality to this character. He's brooding, but he never comes across as emo.
Lucrezia!
There's a lot of depth to it for it to, you know, like, as you said, it's just a voice role, but, like, there's so much depth there, and he did so much just with his voice alone. I get that this is a person who has a very strong understanding for what makes Batman Batman. Like, this guy could be, like, 96 years old, and he could still be being Batman and things. You know what I mean? And I don't think anybody would ever complain.
Definitely not.
You know,
I would never complain.
He's great. He's great at it. And you know what? Honestly, when you look at everyone else who's ever voiced Batman, for the most part, it has been people trying to duplicate his performance. Mm-hmm. And I think that speaks volumes about him as an actor, but also volumes about his time as the character. When people think Batman, they think him. He not only plays the perfect Batman, but, like, he kind of helped establish the perfect Batman. Getting to see him in Crisis on Infinite Earths was great. Mm-hmm. You know, great in the role. I really hope that he gets to play live-action Bruce again. Maybe not the same. You know, I don't mind seeing that same one again, but, like, I would like to see a different Earth's Bruce played by Kevin Conroy.
I think if they ever do Batman Beyond.
I don't think this is an unpopular opinion.
Definitely. That's probably the most popular opinion.
Probably the most popular.
Most popular
I'm not going to lose any subs over this. Like, somebody's going to be like, the guy from the Batman 1951 serials. You know, like, no. Kevin Conroy, for me, is Batman.
Yeah.
The best Batman, the only Batman. There will never be a better Batman than him. I'm sorry, Robert Patterson, stop calling me. It's not going to happen. Kevin Conroy is Batman.
And obviously, we disagreed, but I think, I actually just caught this now, that your number 5 is my number 1, which is Ben Affleck. Now, Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman because, one, he just generally looks like Batman.
He does.
Like, hands down, like, when you look at Ben Affleck, I'm like, yo, that is Batman. Secondly, I think, and I'll say this out right now, the movies, as much as I enjoyed the movies don't portray him enough as Batman.
Yeah, well, that's what I've always said that to you. Like you're a huge supporter of the DC movies. I think they suck, for the most part. There's a couple. I like Shazam. I like Joker, but
yeah.
But the thing I've always told you is that the movies aren't badly cast. Like, more often than not, they have the perfect actors playing the roles. The writing, and maybe, I don't want to say necessarily the directing, but to some degree the directing, balls. I think if he was given more time in the role, or he allowed himself to have more time in the role, we got a solo Batman movie, maybe it'd be a little bit better. But, like, for what they gave him, for me personally, I had to put him lower. But I think he's a good Batman.
I think...
I don't understand people who hate him. I don't
get the hatred for Ben Affleck either. But, alright, so I have to break this down, obviously, for every Batman. His Bruce Wayne, we probably got the most detective Bruce Wayne out of Ben Affleck.
You feel that way?
I 100% think that, and probably know that, just simply because of how everything was, like, in Batman vs. Superman, like, most of that was, like, oh my god, like, who is this alien dude that's smashing through buildings, you know? And even, like, in Justice League, when he had to gather up all the information, like, alright, you know, who's this fish boy, who's this woman that comes out of nowhere with, like, a shield, like, we probably got the most detective-based Bruce Wayne, and not only that, but he's so convincing. And like, I think another thing is that they got the age right. It's like
I disagree with that.
No. Hear me out. We got a more mature Bruce Wayne.
And I disagree. I thought it would have been better if he was a little bit younger because he's facing Superman for the first time, and also you would think like Superman's already insanely strong,
Broken, yeah.
Yeah, so like you think you maybe want a guy who could maybe roll out of the way, like as this Man of Steel is huddling toward him.
Yeah, but all right. So here's the thing about Ben Affleck, though. Is
but no, I agree. No, wait, hold on.
No, I agree with you.
No, I'm agreeing. No, shut up.
I'm
Stop.
agreeing with you.
No, don't agree with me. I'm agreeing with you. How dare you?
But my thing is that why I say he's the perfect age is that he's the perfect age where like he has the experience. Mm-hmm. He's seen some shit.
Yeah.
But then also when you see the Batman, regardless. All right, I will say this right now. Regardless of how anyone sees Batman vs Superman, whether you think it's a good movie, whether you think it's a bad movie, I think it's good. But
it's terrible.
Regardless of what people say. The fight scene.
Follow your dreams.
The fight scene in Batman vs Superman was awesome, and it was awesome.
It could have been.
Not only was it awesome,
it could have been longer.
I wish it was longer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it should have been.
But also, it made sense on how short it was because you see Batman's arm. No, because you see Batman's armor start to deteriorate.
No, I get that, but like that's still in writing that should have happened later on.
No, I know.
No, only because like. The name of the movie is Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah, I know.
And then we get 5 minutes of Batman vs. Superman. Like, what the fuck is the other 3 hours? You know what I mean? Like,
but like, because here's the thing: when we get comic book movies, and I think I explained this to you, I stopped looking at comic book movies for, source material, quote unquote.
What do you mean?
Like when I watch a comic book movie now these days, I don't expect it to go by the source material. I just expect it to...
It shouldn't.
It
shouldn't. Can I tell you why? Because, like, we already have the comics. Like, I like when they do adaptations of something, but, like, usually that's in an animated thing. And even the animated things change.
Yeah.
Right? So here's my thing. Source material is great. I think it's great stuff to go off of and use concepts from. Mm-hmm. But I don't think like, when I was younger, I wanted people to make movies that were panel by panel the comic books I read. I don't want that anymore. Like, now, when people make comic book movies, I'd much rather that they be inspired by and take elements from plots rather than, use everything. Although, with Batman vs. Superman, I think the issue...
They took too many plots.
They took too many, exactly.
And I agree with that.
It was like you're throwing everything at this. Like, we got the death of Superman, we got the world's greatest clash of Batman versus Superman, Wonder Woman's in there for some fucking reason.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on. Like, and this is like... These are all these characters' first meeting. Superman shouldn't die in the second movie in the universe.
Yeah.
It should not happen. Well, Superman should be established before he goes off and dies.
And then this is where also I'm actually working on a video about this, but just to give like a brief like summary on how I feel about this is that DC should start doing one-off films. When I saw him as Bruce Wayne, I was like awesome and like also
he's almost spot on identical to like
he almost looks like Bruce Wayne in general
from the animated series.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Spot on. He has like this like aged veteran confidence to him, like pretty much like how he like almost like, and what I think was a lot like Bruce or in Batman is like you felt that he was in control.
Yes.
Of most of the situations 100%. He was in.
Exactly, and that's why I loved about his Bruce Wayne. It was confident. It was powerful. As much as people hate it, I thought the beginning of Justice League proved that this is Batman.
I hated Justice League.
Well, it doesn't matter.
You know what I will say is you're going to get a lot of shit. And you often get a lot of shit because there's a lot of people out there, myself included, who think you have really shitty opinions. But you know what? I'll reason with you here. Ben Affleck's not my number one Batman, but I could very well see why he would be yours. Actually, I understand why Ben Affleck Batman would be your number one Batman more than I understand why Henry Cavill would be your number one Superman. Ben Ben Affleck could have been a better Batman than he was, had he been given better material.
Yes.
And I think he was pretty good. I don't think he was bad. He's, like I said, he's number 5 for me, so, you know, I think he's up there, but I wouldn't put him as number 1. For me, it's Kevin Conroy. Well, first off, I think he's probably played Batman more than anyone
definitely
has ever played the character. Yeah, absolutely. He kind of defined the role of Batman. You know, he helped really, you know, pave that path of Batman. Like, people's current understanding of Batman has a lot to do with several different factors, one of which being Kevin Conroy's portrayal. I think probably one of the biggest. So that was me and Reyes' best, or more accurately, favorite Batman. If you guys agree, feel free to let us know in the comment section below. And if you don't, make sure you call us out on our terrible fandom. Thank you for tuning in. We're gonna go now.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
I'm the Clown Prince of Crime, and that was the Prince of Personality, the Infuso, or so he says. So if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole and you too want to become a VTard, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow the man on Twitter, because it's not stalking if it's on the internet after all. Join the fun by joining the Discord. If for some strange reason you want to show support, and I don't know why you would, and if you have $1 to spare, head over to the SIJW's Patreon, where you can request videos, get exclusive content, and early access to scheduled videos. Or head to his PayPal, where you can buy the shirts. Oh, aren't those lovely? And just remember, if you're not tuning in, you're missing out. Yeah.
You could still buy merch to this day. Like, literally, I'm not even kidding. Today, I bought a Christopher Reeve, like, because it's... I don't know when this is coming out. This is January that we're filming this. But I just bought a Christopher Reeve Superman ornament.